Well, the 15th out here, and I decided to come back to this today. And I'm going to go ahead and bolt the reduction gears in. This side over here, the top part of that spring plate is busted there where that bolt used to be. And I don't know how they managed to do that, but it is broken. Anyway, what I've got for that is digging the parts can. This is what I took off, and I'm going to have to come up with some more of the correct bolts. There's a few in here that don't belong. But the one that I'm going to use up here is this one here, and I got a great big, very thick washer, which will put a pretty good shoulder around this area and hold that pretty well. I'm not going to be overloading this poor old truck anyway, so I think it'll hold. And if it doesn't, I'll have to scrounge up a spring plate off of something I have around here. And I do have I have a 59 van that I'm going to use for parts in time, so I can always take a spring plate off of that if I need to. But I'm going to go ahead and use this one. So I'm going to put these spring plates back on these reduction gears and hook up my starter wires and clutch cable, new Bowden tube, brake lines, all that monkey business, and then start on this sheet metal in here. This piece here you can see is really tattered around the edge. I have to keep most of this because, in fact, I don't know if we can see it, probably not. If we can find it, there it is. The VIN number for this truck is right here. And it's very, very hard to see, but in fact matches the title I have on this truck. So I've got to keep this hunk of sheet metal because that's the only VIN number actually on this truck. Then of course fix my battery tray. And I still have not welded in this corner that I put on here 100%. I have the seam back in here to do, where I seamed it to my fender well, and on the edge down here I got to run my bead down here and clean all that up. So I'll have to weld all that in and then make a battery tray to fit back in here. I left the old lip from the old battery tray because it was solid, so I've got that all the way around to set my new one on top of. Alright, I got all my hardware that I needed sorted out here. This side with that broken piece there, actually the bolt I'm going to use up top here where that broken piece is, has a larger head on it. Same bolt, but it's a larger head to hold a little better on my big flat washer. And it's the proper length. I've put it all the way down in the hole there, and it's going to be a good length to tighten down. So I'm going to grab a little roundy guy to start lining these bolt holes up and get them started. And then I'm going to put them in by hand and tighten them down pretty tight. Again, I don't know the torque spec, but I'm going to put them in pretty much as tight as I can get them with my half-inch drive ratchet there. So that's what I'm going to do. And you probably can't see a thing, so that's okay. We'll do this. I don't know if I'm in the way or not, but I'm going to use this punch here. And you can see the holes that I got to get lined up. And the spring plate is not at the right angle, and so I got to kind of get everything started. I'll line it up with this guy. Maybe. The shock is not mounted up yet either, but I got 3 holes here, 1 forward, and then the shock to do. So see if I can do this without getting in the way. Okay. The way this is tipped, I think I'm going to try and get this thing in the bottom hole to start. Alright, that looks like it's fairly well lined up, so go with my hardware here. Okay, that feels like it started there. A couple threads. Okay, down on the bottom. Don't know. Yeah, that's long enough to start, maybe. Yeah, so that one got started. And then move the shock out of the way. Let's see if that'll start up front there. Cool. Bring it in a little bit. On the Beetles, these Springplate plates, you're able to move your wheel forward and back for toe on the rear. The buses are all round holes, so it's just, that's where it goes. You don't have to worry about the toe on the rear of this. Alright, before I get too far here, I forgot there's a little mount here with a rubber grommet that goes around my brake line. It goes underneath this one. And I'm going to put it between the big flat washer, that big thick flat washer, and the lock washer. That's where I'm going to put this little bracket. And anyway, so I got to take this top one back out before I get too far along here. Just something to remember, otherwise once you get it all tight you got to tear it all apart again. What a pain. So that guy goes up in this relative position, and I'm going to go ahead and put my big flat underneath and the lock down on top of it. And we'll go ahead and crank this one down. So you can kind of see what needs to go on here. These little brackets were not on this truck when I got it. I actually got these off of, one of my parts cans. They belong there, and they just weren't there. This brake line was actually wrapped around the front, and it was nuts, so I fixed it all up. And then that holds this in the position. You're not, once you get your other end mounted, it doesn't touch anything in here, so maybe. Alrighty then. Pretty close. There we go. Started anyway. It's 17 both ends on this one. Okay, good and tight. So, shock's installed, 4 bolts. Next will be the brake line. Work my way towards the center, and then I'll go do the other side. Well, hopefully we can see this. There's a bracket right here that's kind of a U-shaped slot in it, and then your brake line, flexible brake line here, has a slot in it, and basically this slot is thicker than the one on the frame, on the axle tube here, and so it slides down in. And then you have this keeper that's it's got a curve on it, spring steel, that slips down in and holds that thing in place. But I'm going to go ahead and take this little plug out that I put in here and start my brake line. Anyway, these are just the little plugs that come with like a new master cylinder or a wheel cylinder. Anyway, so this goes through here and adjusts on the, get it started here. Okay, so brake lines started up there pretty tight. I'll go ahead and tighten that guy down first thing. Anyway, yeah, 17 on that end, and I believe that's an 11. I don't have my line wrench out here, but to tighten it I don't need one. To get them loose sometimes you need one, but as far as tightening goes, you don't crank them that tight on the flare there. So okay, so that won't leak. Okay, I'll get down below it here. Let's see if we can see it. Had to get this flush up here, which allows me a little bit of a gap over here, and then you tip that guy. There it goes. Now it's started down in there, and then it just pushes straight on down. Again with your ratcheting hammer. Till it's flush. And so now this is stable in there, and this line does not touch the axle tube anywhere, and it's in its little rubber grommet here on the mount. So that's the brake line, this side installed. I'll have to do the axle boot, and I think I will do that after I put in my clutch cable and Bowden tube right here. So we'll do the axle boot later. But now I'm going to go ahead and do the other side to this point, and we'll come back.